It's COVID. It's a sure sign of COVID.
Good morning, everybody.
Mm.
Welcome to the Social Security Open Forum, sponsored by the National Social Security Advisor Certificate Program. Appreciate everybody being here today. I definitely appreciate Teresa for her willing her Pittsburgh Steelers to beat the Baltimore Ravens yesterday. I do appreciate that. That really made my day. But I also want to say, acknowledge what's going on in Israel. We have 750 Israelis died, and over 2,000 are injured, and a couple of hundred are captured. So I'm hoping that that war is dealt with and resolved really quick. I'm watching the news all the time, and it just doesn't look good. So anyway, thank you for everybody for joining us today. And as you know, if you have a question to ask, just raise your hand and I'll get to you right away. But if you don't, I'll kind of go around the NSSA Hollywood Squares. So the first one is our Pittsburgh Steelers fan, Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Good morning. Don't really have any specific questions to ask, but I just took my 24-hour credits for my insurance licensing, and I took it specifically because the topic was Social Security.
Good. And was it a really good refresher for you?
It actually was really, really in depth. It
Good.
was
Okay.
The study material was 350 pages.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to let you know I scored a perfect score on the exam afterwards because
Good.
I already knew most of it, but there were some other items that I didn't know that were really good. So
Can you share one or two of those items with us, please?
It went into a lot of how things were developed and how things are calculated. So it really went into like the nitty-gritty that the general populace really doesn't need to know.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good for me because sometimes you get those clients that want to know the whys and wherefores and so on and so forth. So it was there was a lot of technical information in it.
Okay,
And
good. Okay.
I can actually forward the slides to you.
You don't need to do that. I appreciate it though, but I'm not gonna look at them.
Okay.
I appreciate the offer. Okay, wait a second. My thing slid over. But I'm glad. Oh, wait a second. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I forgot a little.
So, but like I said, it was just a really nice additional refresher course, and that to know that yes, from all these presentations that we do and from the initial education, that it really does solidify your knowledge in the area.
Well, we want all the advisors to continue their education, if it's with us or outside organizations, or just do a whole lot of reading. You can order Social Security books on Amazon, and then the more reading you do, the better off you'll be. And the more educational classes you take also is really a good idea. So thank you, Teresa. I appreciate it. Let's go to Amy. Hi, Amy. You are on mute.
I realize that.
Okay, now you're not.
Now I'm not. Yeah, I'm just here to listen, learn.
Okay, and believe me, I learned too. Definitely. Okay, let's go to Chris. Hello, Chris.
Good morning. I don't think I have to unmute myself. So yeah, I've been a member now for a year, and I asked my associate Caitlin to hop on because she needs to get her designation. She works with me, but I was so impressed the last call with the content and the type of questions that were asked that I said, I'm going to make this every time you do this, this will be a must attend because, again, unless you're, either A, have photographic memory or B, have a inherent ability to retain complex data, I think that a constant immersion in Social Security
Go ahead. I'm muting everybody
No
that I
worries.
can.
No worries. But it's helpful because I just don't think you can know everything about everything.
Yeah.
And so for me, although I don't have a question now, it's constantly top of mind because, I'll get an email, I'll get a call where, it's nice to have the wherewithal or the ability that I don't know the answers. And I'm not afraid to say, you know what, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that. Let me research that and get back to you. And you guys have been Johnny on the spots when I send you an email, double check, or I can go back to the PowerPoints, pull the data, review it, say, okay, that's the answer. So
Mhm.
even though I've taken the test, got this certification,
Sure.
I find these weekly calls invaluable. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Chris. And sometimes when I get a question from an advisor, I'll end it with time for a refresher. Because so many times I get it. I'm not talking about you, Chris, of course, but so many times I get a question that just seems kind of basic, things we cover in the class, like when can a spouse receive a spousal benefit, options for divorced folks. Sometimes I think a couple of questions are kind of basics. I say time for a refresher. Thank you, Chris.
I have to beg to differ with you, Chris, about nobody not knowing everything. A friend of mine for my birthday one time gave me a trophy that said Mr. Know-It-All on it. Now, granted, on top of that trophy was a horse's ass, but I'm not sure what they were trying to tell me. I just took it as I must know everything. So,
All right, fair enough, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We'll go to Caitlin. So Caitlin, we do to find out about the classes we offer, you just go to our website, premiernssa.com. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go there now because I want to show everybody where they could find previously recorded Social Security open forum. So let me just do that. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, and let me go back to the Zoom and share my screen. Oh, I guess you can probably see it. Okay, so this is when you go to the website, this is what you'll see initially, upcoming in-person classes and just some other propaganda that we want you to see. And also just click out of here. Now to look at a couple things. We do have a podcast, Social Security Talk. To look at our podcast, you just click on here and you can see that the last one recorded is last one listed is April 27th. I'm not sure why I have to get going on that, but we have done more than that. And also to look at other open forums, you just click on resources here and go down to Social Security Open Forum. And you can see all the open forums. You can see the last one we did was September 25th. Since I'm in charge of that, I keep that as up to date as I can. So you can look at our open forums that way. And so if you want to look at our schedule of classes, we offer our classes 3 ways: live in person, live webinar, and taped on demand videos. To register for on demand, you just click on this menu tab right here. To find out our schedule of stuff, you click on this menu tab, you hover over it, and you go down to registration and class schedule. And then you just scroll down and look at the one that you want to attend. We have classes in Louisville, Troy, Michigan, Louisville, and Cincinnati coming up for the rest of this year. And plus, we have plenty of monthly webinars, of course. Okay, now that I'll stop sharing my screen and I'll go to Caitlin. Go, Caitlin.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me on here today. So I am interested in getting the NSSA certification because I work with a lot of folks that are just transitioning into Medicare. And they often have a lot of questions about Social Security as well at that time. So I think it'll be a good arrow to have in my arsenal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Social Security and Medicare, they definitely go hand in hand. I agree 1000%. Do you know in live webinar, live in person, or on demand?
Yeah, definitely the webinar I think would be good for me.
So our next one is October 30th. I believe it's at 9 to 5:30 Eastern time, which is 8 to 4:30 Central time. What time zone are you in?
Eastern.
Okay. And we also offer holiday special webinars. We have a couple in December where we discounted the tuition by 40%. December 18th, I believe, from 8 to 4:30, and December 29th and 30th, I believe, from 10 to 2 Eastern time. I might be a little off on a couple of things there, but
Okay.
that's kind of what it is. Yeah,
Okay,
just
great.
go to our website. Thanks, Caitlin. I appreciate it. Any questions you'd like to ask?
Oh, not today.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Well, Andrea, you're next.
Hey, Mark and Jim. I unfortunately don't have a question today, which is too bad because this is such a great opportunity to ask you guys questions. But I will comment that since I put the NSSA logo on my LinkedIn page, I've gotten hit up by people from different firms. So it definitely is a bonus to put that on your LinkedIn page and let people know that you have the qualification.
Well, thanks. I appreciate your comments there, Andrea, definitely. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Randy, you're next.
Hi, Mark. Hi, Jim. Could you just make some comments on PIA? I understand how it's calculated. We know PIA is your full retirement age. How does the PIA, could you just make some comments on it? How does the PIA change if someone's at full retirement age? So let's say their full retirement age is 67, they're currently 68. We know they're picking up the 8% delayed credits. They're not taking Social Security yet, so they're picking up the 8% delayed credits. So their PIA would be their full retirement age number, adjusted for any cost of living adjustments. So could you just kind of comment on the PIA? I think it's first figured at 60 or 62. And maybe anything that stands out in your mind regarding the PIA and how it can change or does change.
Jim?
Well, first of all, your PIA becomes effective for you the year you attain age 62. That's when your indexing factors and BIM points lock in for you. And remember, they index your earnings through age 59, but earnings starting with age 60 still count. This is a real timely question because right now we're in the month where PIAs for a lot of people who've been working are going to increase because wages, even if you're receiving Social Security benefits, wages will increase or can increase the PIA. So if the earnings in 2022 were higher than the lowest year used in the computation, they'll drop the low year, add in the new high year, and the PIA will increase. Now, technically, it's effective this past January, and people will see a little back pay. I'm excited. I probably have about $20, $22 coming with an increase in my PIA. That's and then I'll see an increase in my benefit amount because my PIA increased. So earnings may not, if what someone earns in the year doesn't exceed the lowest year used, then it just stays the same. Cost of living, as you said, will also increase the PIA. That's the only two things that will increase the PIA. Your delayed retirement credits, a percentage, whatever you earn, is applied to the PIA, and then that amount added to your benefit, but it doesn't increase the PIA. So at age 62, your numbers lock in. For folks that are looking at their statement before the year they attain 62, they're just using the current year. So if somebody's 58 and they look at their statement today, they're using the indexing factors that are in place for people turning 62 this year. Their statement may change a little bit next year when the new indexing factors for people that turn 62 in 2024 are known. So but it definitely locks in at 62, and you start to get the COLAs, and then they'll look at it each year. And it is automatic. If you don't want to wait till October, you can take your W-2s or tax records into the Social Security office once you have them and ask them to do it right away.
One
Okay.
thing, Randy, I'm going to say is that it's taken me, I've been with Jim since 2010, and we've been teaching this class since January 2013. And I think I finally realized that COLA will be entered into your Social Security benefit statement when you, when folks turn age 62. Jim, am I right on that?
Yeah, they will
Yeah.
factor that into the statement as well.
But it's taken me 13 years to understand that point. So yeah, I need a refresher sometimes too.
Okay.
Anything else, Randy?
When's the soonest somebody gets a social security statement? When they have their 40 orders in?
No.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead,
you
Jim.
can sign up at age 18
Yeah.
and look at your statement, but it won't give you a benefit amount for retirement until you have your 40 credits. But it would show you if you had enough credits for disability or if you passed away, the survivor benefit. But once you're 18, you can create that online account.
Yeah, so my one assistant just got hers. She's in her 30s. So she got her, it shows her benefits at full retirement age,
Yeah.
67. And yeah, so it's just basically projecting it on the current earnings.
Right. And then they project whatever she earned last year until she reaches 62 and full retirement age in 70. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks,
Sure.
Randy. Hi, Steve. Good morning. Mute.
There we go.
Hey.
There you go.
Now something popped on the screen right beforehand. So let's talk about the refresher because
Okay.
Then after you do this a while, and I've been doing it a while, there tends to get a little fog in the brain. So do you guys offer anything other than, I mean, we can do these, but
Yeah,
I
sure.
know you can go on and do the certification, but is there something else that can be offered to kind of go back and to kind of do a
Sure.
refresher course
Yeah.
again?
Well, yeah, any advisor can retake our class. Definitely. I mean, they can and they do. Yes. When we do in-person classes, we have a lot of repeat advisors. When we do webinars, we do. And of course, advisors also register for the on-demand videos. Now, the tuition for a returning advisor is $450. However, though, I'm going to give you all a break. I want to cut that in half to $225. So if any one of, except live in-person class, we'll have to charge $450 for that. But if you want to do a webinar or the on-demand videos, or you just won't eat at a live in-person class and you can save $200 that way. But if you want to do the on-demand video or live webinar for $225, you just email me and I'll send you a payment link outside of our normal registration process.
Okay, I'll do that because I think I'd like to do
Yeah.
that because I'm getting ready to get my IRMA certification also. So
What is that?
IRMA certification.
IRMA. I'm not.
Yeah.
What is
Yep.
IRMA?
I'll let Jim. You want to explain
Well,
that?
I
better?
know
Because
IRMA, but
the-
what's the IRMA certification?
there's an IRMA certification now. As far as
Okay.
that, yeah, there's a new certification out there, and so I'm getting ready to do
Well,
that
thanks. Okay.
to make sure that I'm talking and saying everything correctly.
Did
So yeah, there's something new every day.
yeah, Steve, send me an email on that because I'd like to I would like to know more about it and let our advisors know about that additional certification. I didn't know it existed. I know about
Yeah.
like you said, they come out all the time. I can't keep up with them all either.
All right, I'll send you an email. Thanks.
Okay, because that was new to me. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Okay.
See you.
Okay. Nicole. Nicole Lee.
Hey,
There you
Mark,
go.
how are you?
Hi. We're good. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. I was hoping you could go over how that GPO, the windfall, affects the spousal boost
Sure.
benefit.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so GPO only impacts spousal benefits. That would be a benefit off of a current spouse, benefit off of an ex-spouse, or benefit off of a deceased spouse or deceased ex-spouse. So you reduce the Social Security benefit you can get off the spouse by 2/3 of your government pension. And pure and simple, if there's anything left over, you'll get it. Now, we tend to call GPO grumpy partner offset. That's the official name, Nicole, not government
Mhm.
pension offset.
That part I remember.
Okay, good. Okay, that was Harold's idea, not mine. Jim, what would you like to add to that?
Well, I mean, that's basically it. It's the gross amount before any pre-tax deductions. And they'll take 2/3 of that and subtract it from the benefit. So first thing Social Security does is compute the benefit, and then they'll take 2/3 of the non-covered pension and subtract it. We've been getting a lot of questions lately because a lot of people, I guess, have been rolling the monthly benefit over into a 401k or some type of savings like that. And they want to know, does GPO or WEP still apply? It does. Social Security calls these unique payments. And while, how do you know what to use for the offset or for the deduction for GPO? Social Security has a chart. They take the person's age at the time they roll it over, and they have a chart that figures their life expectancy from that point. And that's how they'll use that to determine a monthly benefit amount and then apply WEP or GPO to that. So it doesn't get you out of it. It's still there, but yeah, it applies when you start to receive your pension. In the case of those unique payments, it just applies when you roll it over, or when you start to take your Social Security. So, I guess that's about it, unless you have some.
I have
other
a question for you, Jim. The spousal boost. Will you reduce this? Do we reduce the actual spousal boost by 2/3 of the government pension also? Is that the way that works?
Right. The spousal boost is
Okay.
computed, and then 2/3 of the pension comes off of that, may zero it out. They're
Yeah.
still eligible for Medicare.
Mhm.
It's not that their benefits are terminated, they're just suspended because of government pension offset. But yeah, it could take it all the way down to zero.
Yeah, and it will.
So just to clarify, if the male's the earner and has the pension, the wife's gonna file off of him. You cut his in half, right, for Social Security, and then you take his pension and minus 2/3 from that half.
No, it's it only applies to the person that earned the pension. So what would happen in that case? The husband's PIA would be reduced for windfall, and then the spousal benefit would be based on half of the windfall PIA.
But if he has the full earnings, it doesn't affect him, right? Like he has
Right.
enough.
If he has
both.
30 years of substantial earnings,
Yeah,
his PIA is not affected, and she'll get half of the full PIA in that case.
okay, so the problem just falls into if like the wife has a pension, you're saying.
Right. If she has the government pension, then she's subject to government pension offset. If she doesn't have a pension, then GPO doesn't apply to her. It's just based on half of his PIA, whether that's the full PIA or the WEP PIA, depends on the years of substantial services he has.
Okay. Okay, I got it. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Nicole. Let's go to Elisa. Hello, Elisa.
Hi,
Hello.
I do have two questions for you.
Okay.
Okay, just to confirm, if somebody passes away at age 57, the benefit that their spouse will be entitled to if they wait to their full retirement age would be the deceased person's full retirement age amount?
Right. What they would do would be compute the benefit based on the earnings up through death, and compute a PIA. Now, say, for example, the 57-year-old died this year. They would use this year's BIM points and indexing factors and compute a death PIA. Then if 10 years from now, the surviving spouse files for those benefits, it would be based off of that PIA plus all cost of living adjustments that occurred since the individual passed.
Yeah. Okay. And then my next question is relating to that special exemption that people can take in the year of retirement. So I have a lady who's thinking about retiring. She's going back and forth with maybe I'll be part-time, whatever. But I also have to look out. She's going to get a huge payout for vacation time. Well, not huge, but like $30,000.
That's huge to me.
Yeah. So like that will mess up. So the rule for her is that she can like file that one-time exemption, start taking her benefit, and then for the rest of the year, she can continue to earn some minimal amount each month. But if she goes over that amount, then they'll start like clawing back some of her Social Security benefit. And she wants to make sure that her vacation payout is done before she files for that exemption.
Well, the exemption, it's just the monthly test. And
Mhm.
so what they'll say is the vacation pay, we're going to count that not when it was paid, but when it was earned. So while she was working.
Mhm.
So she retired the end of September and gets that big payout in October. It
Mhm.
won't affect October's benefit as long as in October she doesn't go over $1,770 a month, and that $1,770 will apply for the rest of the year. And so what she'll have to show Social Security is, one, my employment relationship ended on such and such a date, such as September 30th.
Mhm.
What I received in October was vacation pay that I earned before I retired. So they won't count that towards the monthly test for October. They'll just look to see, well, what else did you earn in October? Did you go to work somewhere else and have some earnings?
Okay.
So it's just when they apply it as to the monthly test.
All right. One more question. So same lady, what if she officially retires in January and then they pay her out her vacation and then she continues to work at the same place part-time, but earns less than $1,770 per month? That would be okay.
Yeah, she would have to show that, first of all, the original employment ended. If she just went from full-time to part-time without an ending, then they're going to count it when it's received. So they would count it in the following year when she gets it in January. So she'll have to actually retire and
Mhm.
show that she left the company. And then if they rehire her as part-time,
Mhm.
then she'll be okay.
Okay. Isn't the special rule just kind of, it cancels out any earnings that you earned before you file the special exemption?
Well, they just say they still look at all the earnings for the whole year, January through December,
Okay.
and then they'll say for that in 1 year, you will also, if you exceed the 21,250 or 240, if any month that you earn less than 1,770, we'll pay you regardless of what you earned.
Okay.
So they look at the annual amount.
Okay.
And that's even for months before you started your benefits.
Okay.
And then if that exceeds the allowable amount, then they ask, okay, what months did you earn 1,770 or less? And you can get paid for those months.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Elisa. Richard, you're next.
Yeah, could you hear me, Mark?
Yes, we can.
All right, so I got two questions basically. One will be for you, Mark. The other one I really need to ask Jim because he'd be probably more familiar. The question,
You don't have to explain. I understand Jim knows more than I do.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I have a relative that I met with, and she was married to her husband for over 10 years. They're divorced. He would drive disability at Social Security. He passed away this year. She's over 60. I'm a little confused. I know there's going to be, she can claim off of him, but I'm not too sure how that's working. And the also not part of this question, but I'm going to try to determine if it would be a feasible, really a good thing for her to do to claim it now. But anyways, what the current decision would be if she decided to take Social Security, how that would be based.
Jim?
Yeah, that's going to be based off of his disability amount. So they'll convert that disability PIA to a death PIA, and it'll be the same amount. So he's not, or she won't be penalized because he was disabled and unable to work for a number of years, so he didn't have earnings in those years. They'll take that. That's the amount she'll be eligible for at full retirement age. And then if she takes it before that, of course, it would be reduced based on her age, but it's going to be based on what he was receiving.
Okay,
Plus
so
any cost of living if she delays it.
yeah, so the basic is that it'd be based on the death PA, and then it would be reduced by her taking the early benefit from between 63 and 66 years and whatever months it is.
Right, it would be reduced on her.
Yeah. Okay. The other question I had is that I happened yesterday, I was watching Fast and Furious from August 28th. I just had a chance to take a look at it.
Okay.
And you were talking about veterans. You helped me with my wife, Jim, but no, I'm curious on mine. I joined the Navy. I'm showing my age now. I joined the Navy under President Eisenhower. I was in active duty from 1960 to 1962. And my Social Security right now is real small because I've always been self-employed, except for the little time I was with Federal Civil Service. In 73, I joined the Federal Civil Service with the Department of Army. Unfortunately, my DD 214 was in St. Louis, Missouri, and in 1973, there was a fire in the Military Records Center in St. Louis, and a lot of the DD 214s were destroyed. So I'm thinking I have to go to the Department of Army to get my DD 214. But what's bothering me is that my wage at that time was a good wage. It was between, for the 2 years, it was between $78 and $120 a month, which is nothing today, but that was a good wage back then. But I have a lot of zeros. So is that going to be based on the 78 or 120? You were talking about 300, and that's what threw me, Jim.
Well, they'll give you, they'll add an amount for each quarter that you were in. So for 300 times 4 would be a total of $1,200 for a whole year that you were in during that period of time. So that, and particularly if you have zeros, that will increase your benefit. So it'd be worth doing.
So is it actually the 300, or it would be based on my?
No, they give you they add 300 to your
record. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Earnings record.
Yeah, as earnings.
Yeah.
And then they apply the they do the calculation,
right,
and then Ben. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
How would I have to? I'm assuming to contact the Department of the Navy, and they should have my DD 214 then, right?
Yeah, hopefully for those folks that those records were lost in the fire, it was a real problem. So hopefully you can get that.
Thank you.
Documentation.
Yeah, you only need it for service between 57 and 67. All other years are already included. Only those years.
Right. All right.
Okay, we'll move on. Thanks, Richard. Let's go to Bob. Hi, Bob.
Okay. Hi, guys. Hi, Mark. Hi, Jim. Hi, everybody. So I've got a person who's 62 that is taking his Social Security now because of health issues that he has, and his income prior, the year before. And I guess the first question is, well, his income was higher when he was 61 the year before, and now he's taking it out, and so the question he's been told is that he's going to have a reduced amount. I'm going to correct myself. he's still earning money at age 62, but is due to his disability, but it's a high number, and they're basing it, the amount of income that he's receiving is on a higher number than what he's actually bringing in. And so he's getting a reduced benefit because of that estimate. And the question he's asking is, what happens at some point in the future when they determine, yeah, your income wasn't as high as we were planning on, and does that reduced benefit that he's getting from his Social Security, does it ever get paid to him, or is it added into his future benefits?
Yeah, they'll adjust for when they know what his actual earnings were. If he overestimated what he was going to earn and they withheld based on that estimate, next year when those earnings get posted to his record, they'll make the adjustment. And if they withheld too much, they'll send him that money back.
Okay, so 500 a month or whatever, just pick a number. So he'll actually get a check theoretically for 12 months he'll get a check for $6,000 because this is the amount we should have paid you. We reduced it by $500 more than we should have. So he'll get a check for $6,000 then next year.
If they reduced it by, what they should do is withhold it all at one time. So they should withhold his full check until they withhold what they need to withhold based on his estimate. If the reduction is because he took benefits early, what they do is at full retirement age, they'll look and say, you filed at 62, we reduced your benefit 25%. You didn't get checks every month because of your earnings or a full check. So they'll make an adjustment on the reduction factor. That's when he'll see an increase in his monthly benefit amount. And that's a permanent increase.
So if again, all of us on this page would say to somebody, don't take your early benefit if you're still making a lot of money. But theoretically, a person that's making so much money that his check at age 62, if he actually filed for it, would be he wouldn't get any money from Social Security. Again, there's no reason to take it. But what happens to that money that he now is not going to get because of his earnings?
Well, he just doesn't receive anything because of his earnings. And then when he reaches full retirement age, they would recalculate his benefit in this situation, instead of it being reduced 25 to 30%, he'd be back to 100% of his PIA. So he'd get his full benefit.
Because he had no checks sent to him?
Right. Because he didn't receive any checks. So those are all credit months, and it would be almost the same as if he waited until full retirement age to file.
So then a different example would be, let's say it's cut in half. He's getting some money, but he's not getting all of it. That money that it's being reduced to it's paid out in the future, and they're recalculating his full retirement benefit based on that half that wasn't paid to him.
So say his full retirement age was 66, he retired at 62, they reduced his benefit 25%. He only gets 6 checks a year because of his earnings. When he reaches 66, they would go back and look and say, okay, we reduced your benefit 48 months because you filed 48 months early, but we only paid you 24 checks. So we'll change that reduction factor from 48 to 24. Now, instead of a 30% reduction, it's roughly a 15% or 12.5% reduction. And so he'll see an increase in his monthly benefit amount.
Got it.
And that's how he gets his money back over time. And it's a permanent increase.
Okay. It makes sense. I was wondering how they figured that out, and you explained it very well.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Mark.
Sure.
Thanks. I need to let folks know, timing wise, we're not even halfway through and we only have 20 minutes to go. So if you have a question to ask us, raise your hand and we'll get to you right away. All right, Brendan, let's go to you.
Thanks, gentlemen. No questions this week, just listening in, so I'll move it along.
Thanks, Brendan. George, you're up.
Hi, I do have a question.
Okay.
I'm looking at the SSI. I have an individual who has a child who's disabled, and since like 8 years old, they're getting SSI. Couple questions. One, just want to review. The mom has to be getting Social Security benefits for then the child to collect on something. One, and secondly, is would the child at all be able to qualify for Medicare benefits since they haven't worked anything into the system?
Okay, now, while on SSI, there is no Medicare.
Right, okay.
But when mom or dad applies for benefits, then the child would be eligible for disabled adult child benefits, not before they apply, but once they start their benefits, then the kid's eligible. And 2 years after that child would be eligible for Medicare entitlement, regardless of their age. So there's a 2-year
62.
period.
So when the parent reaches 62, that she could start her benefits at the earliest.
Right. And then the child would start at that same time. And then when mom or dad reaches 64, that's 2 years later, that's when Medicare would kick in for the child. And if there's still, it depends on mom or dad's PIA, if the child is still eligible for some SSI, they're still going to be eligible for Medicaid, and the state will pay the Medicare premium. That doesn't mean if all the SSI is offset, they still won't be eligible for Medicaid. That's something they still want to check with the county over. And if they are eligible for Medicaid, then the Medicare premium is still paid by the state. Now, there's 2 exceptions to the 24-month rule. If someone has ALS, it's effective immediately. The first month you're eligible for a benefit. And if you have end-stage renal disease, it can be up to a 3-month wait. It just depends on was there a transplant or home dialysis, different things factor in, but it's definitely sooner than the 24 months.
Okay. And they get 50% of the parents' PIA. That's what he would be getting.
Right. Even if mom files at 62 and takes a reduction, it's still 50% of the PIA.
Okay. That works. All right. Thank you, guys.
Sure.
Thank you, George. Okay, Jeffrey, you're next.
All right. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Yes, we recently heard from somebody something that we don't believe is true, but I wanted to just run it past you. For CDB, the Child Disability Benefits, does the child have to be before age 22 to apply for the benefits, or they just have to have be able to prove that they were disabled before age 22?
No, they don't have to file before age 22. Like you said, they'll have to determine that the disability began before age 22. So you might have a situation where the parent applies for Social Security and that child might be age 40. Well, as long as they can prove that child was disabled prior to age 22, that child can still draw off of the parent's work record.
Okay, that's what we were thinking. And then I wanted to just real quickly skip back to something Nicole, you had answered her question on the WEP and GPO, and you said something that I just wanted to clarify. So let's say, the husband, if he has non-covered earnings, and so he's impacted by WEP, and then let's say that the wife was eligible for a spousal benefit off of him, and she had non-covered earnings as well, her earnings are impacted by GPO based on his WEP earnings, his WEP impacted PIA.
Right, in that situation, that's correct.
Okay.
Her spousal benefits would be based on the WEP PIA, and then because she too had the earnings, non-covered earnings, then GPO would apply against those benefits.
Against hers. Okay, got it. Thank you. Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Jeff. Let's go to John. Hello, John.
Good morning.
There you go.
Yes. Okay, real quick. This is probably a basic question, but I couldn't remember on the max earnings, is that based on modified adjusted gross income, adjusted gross income,
No,
net?
just earned income, gross earned income. So box 3 of your W-2
Box
or
3.
schedule SE on your tax return.
Okay, box 3 or schedule what?
SE, self-employed income.
Oh, self-employed income.
You got it. Yeah, it's
All
not
right.
based. It's not, it only includes earned income. AGI includes everything else.
Gotcha. And then real quick, if there's a person who's on SI or SSI, that does not go towards for Medicare purposes.
No.
So if they're on SSI and they come off of it and they don't have their 40 units, 40 credits, they're gonna have to start over.
Well, if you're on SSI, that there's no entitlement to Medicare. If they don't have their 40 credits, whether SSI stops or even continues, if they're not eligible off of someone else's work record, say they never been married, so they're not eligible off their spouse's work record, then they can still get Medicare at 65, but it's premium Part A. You pay for the Part A and as well as the Part B.
And that's 10 years of marriage to be able to qualify for somebody else's.
Well, no, if you're married a year, you can, and you're still married. The 10 years, if you were married someone 10 years or more and divorced, then you could get Medicare Part A premium free off of your ex. If you're married, then it's 12 months, and then you would be eligible for Medicare.
And so if they marry for 1 year, let's just say the scenario is they never made the 10 years, then they get married in their 60s for 1 year, and then say the marriage, they're just not good at being married, and they divorce, they would lose that?
Yes.
So you have to maintain your marriage to keep the Medicare based off your spouse.
Right.
And that spouse would have had to obviously be Part A premium free.
Well, the spouse they're drawing off of has to be 62 or older and have their 40 credits.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Sure.
You guys are awesome.
Thanks, John. Okay, I think Steve is next. Go, Steve. Okay.
I'm here.
Go ahead. Yeah, I was looking at the other Steve, but we'll go with you. Hi, Steven.
Oh, okay. Sorry, there's a lot of Steves. Common name.
You got it. I'm ready.
So back to primary insurance amount questions. So I have a lot of in Nevada PERS recipients, which are WEP and GPO, and so I get questions, for example, like this. I know my Social Security is based on the best 35 years of earnings, but I only have, let's say, 25 or 30. And then I took my PERS job or a non-Social Security covered pension. How is my Social Security eroding away, or is it eroding away, or how much, is there a rule of thumb to just kind of estimate how much it will be reduced, let's say for another 15 years before they get to retirement because they got into the non-government or non-Social Security covered pension system? And then the second tangent question would be, let's say they have 28, 30 years. Is it really worthwhile to, retire from the non-Social Security covered pension position and then go back into Social Security and work for, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years to top off their Social Security to avoid the WEP? Any comments on that?
Yeah, it's the calculation is just based off of 35 years, even if you've got 20 years of work. They just use zeros in the calculation. So what that means is they take all of their earnings after the indexing and everything, add them together and divide it by 420 to come up with the AMI. And of course, it's going to be much lower than someone who had 35 years of wages because they got a bunch of 0 years in there. Is it worth getting the extra credits? Certainly, if you're close, it could be. If you're just going to work just to get the Social Security, I'm not sure if that's worth it. You could, I guess someone could always do a calculation to see, okay, if I work and earn this amount a year for the next 7 years, how much would my Social Security be? And the calculators on the Social Security website would allow you to do that. Then you could see, well, is it worth my while? If you're just working because you want something to do and you happen to become eligible, that's great. It just worked out that way. But I don't know if I'd do it just to become eligible for the Social Security. Of course, if you're not married and never have been, do you need Part A of Medicare? If you're not entitled, most of the time, you don't have to have it. Your work insurance will still cover you, even in retirement, without the Medicare, because you're not entitled. But it's one way of getting the Medicare entitlement premium free anyway. Part A premium free as well.
Is there a rule of thumb you would say, just, like say someone's, working 25 years in Social Security, and now they're going to be introducing zeros for the next 10 years. Would you say your benefit's going to reduce at all, or because of cost of living, it basically stays the same? I'm going down 2%, but inflation is going up 2%. So is there any rule of thumb that you would use, or you just stay away from that and just do
Yeah, you just have to do the calculation.
Okay.
And use their earnings. But yeah, there's no rule of thumb of how much of a reduction it's going to be, because everything's based on your past earnings and what those are. So it's really just hard to say.
Okay.
And thanks, Stephen. Okay, Jim, let's do some gift cards. 1 to 22, Jim.
Let's go with 4 and 17.
Okay. Richard, you are a winner of a gift card.
You gonna send me a 1099 on that, Mark?
I will send you, yes. And Darlene, you're also a winner of a gift card. So I got folks send me an email as a reminder, and I'll send that to my son Aaron, who will send you a gift card. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go to see Mike. Mike, I think you're next. Okay, let's go to Ray. Ray, you're next. Oh,
well, don't forget the original Steve you called on.
This is Mike.
Yeah.
I'm just here listening in, so you can move on. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Okay, Jim, you got it. Okay, okay. Well, the original Steve didn't respond, so I'll assume he doesn't have a question. If you do, let me know. Ray, you're up.
No questions today, Mark.
Thanks, Ray. Darlene, you're up.
No questions from me today. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Mark. You're next.
Listening and learning today.
Okay, thank you. Adam. Okay, we have our last one, Lori. Hello, Lori.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
I'm here also listening and learning.
Okay, great. So, Jim, we're a little closer to 12/31 of 2023. At which time we know that really big, valuable strategy is kind of going away. Not kind of, but is. So,
Technically,
Jim,
Mark, that's November 30th, because if you were born 1/1 of 54, you're 70 in December.
true, but you can still utilize it and go back 6 months.
Well, in that case, then you
Okay.
could say those folks could do that.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, no problem. We're both right. We agree to disagree. So, Jim, when was last time you met with somebody who was able to follow that restricted application?
I have no idea. It might not even have been this year. If it was early in the year.
I predict that the last week of 2023, we will have 2 or 3 folks that we're going to file restricted apps for to go back 6 months. That is my prediction. We had a question from one of our advisors today. I was really kind of disappointed with the question because, the advisor should know. Anyway, The advisor asked if a client is 65, they heard that the client can go ahead and draw a spousal benefit and wait till age 70 to collect their own. At the end of my reply, I said, time for a refresher, because it really was for that individual. Jim, what's the answer to that question?
Yeah, the answer is no, that cannot happen. Deemed filing says if you're going to file for that spousal benefit, you have to take your own first. Then, if you're eligible for the spousal benefit, you must take that. But no taking a spousal benefit now while you're entitled on your own and saving your own till 70. That's gone.
But yeah, and it's unfortunate, but it is gone. But that's why advisors need to understand the types of questions that they should be asking their clients so their clients get more money out of the system. And they need to really understand what situational Social Security is all about. Jim, what was the last question you answered for one of our advisors?
I think it was that rolling your non-covered pension over into the 401k, and they were wanting to know what the rules were on that. And I dug up the Palms references. I don't know them offhand, but the chart's the same. So if someone rolled their non-covered pension into a 401k, obviously they have the option of taking benefits when they want to. You know, they can withdraw when they want. They can choose how much they're going to withdraw. And because of that, then Social Security is going to just make a determination. First, they're going to ask the person, can you give me what your pension would have been had you taken the regular monthly pension? And if they can't do that, then based on their age, when they rolled it over, and their date of birth, Social Security has a formula figured out. They'll divide it by however many months is in their life expectancy and determine a monthly benefit amount. So for WEP, that's to apply against the guarantee, because they're not going to reduce your benefit by any more than half of your pension. And sometimes it is less, because I had one lady that did that, and when we calculated her monthly benefit, it was $41 a month. So WEP is going to be pretty low. GPO is going to even be lower. Not much of an effect for her. But most people, it's high enough where the windfall guarantee doesn't apply. The chart is in different places for WEP and GPO, but it's exactly the same. It's in the retirement section, RS for WEP. It's in the general section, GN for GPO. If you've got that situation, let me know. I can get you the references for those sections.
By the way, folks, mark on your calendar the following date, October 12th, 2023. That's basically 3 days from now. I want to say that's Thursday, but don't quote me on that.
You're right.
That is the day that COLA figures will be published. So on Thursday, you will know the COLA for next year. You will know the wage cap for next year. You'll know the bend points for next year. You know, the indexing factors and all that good stuff, earnings test. I will be sending out an email to our advisors on that day, probably in the afternoon. Don't quote me on that, with this information. This might be a good time to subscribe to our Hey Mark series, because those folks will immediately get the email I send out all the time, because it's $99 a year, and you'll get my Hey Mark questions, and you'll get other stuff sent out before anyone else receives it. So it's $99 a year. If that's of interest to you, let me know. But I will be sending out to everybody sometime during the day. But you know, the problem with Constant Contact newsletters is that, you know, I never really know who gets my newsletters. Definitely that's the case with LinkedIn. I never know who gets my LinkedIn feeds and posts. So anyway, October 12th, Thursdays, when the COLA will be coming out. Jim, is that what you've heard?
Yes.
And I'm still projecting 3.25% increase for COLA for January 2024. Jim, 3.25. What are you saying?
Yeah, that's kind of what they're projecting, so we'll see how that works out.
Okay, folks, that ends today's open forum. Thank you. We'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.
you.
Bye.
See
Thank
ya.
you.
You're welcome.